Salud, amigos,
Greetings, friends,
tripulantes
crew
de
member
nuestra
of our
querida,
beloved,
contaminada
polluted,
y única
and
nave
unique
espacial,
spacecraft,
la misma que,
which,
desde la
since
última
the
vez que
last
nos
time
vimos
we
por estos
met,
medios, ha dado
has
otra
taken
vuelta
another
sobre su
turn
eje
about its imaginary
imaginario y, por
axis,
supuesto,
and of course,
sigue generando
continues creating
acontecimientos en
events in full
pleno
development.
desarrollo. Esos acontecimientos
In
hoy
these events,
marcan una
well,
continuidad
they show the
con
continuity
lo que veníamos señalando en
of the
programas
facts that we
anteriores.
had
No
previously
obstante,
mentioned.
tenemos informaciones de última
However,
hora
we
muy
have some
interesantes y se espera además en
information that
cualquier
is very
momento
interesting, and we
un
will be getting
pronunciamiento
some
del
more
Santo Padre,
information,
Papa Latinoamericano,
some statement from
sobre
the
el
Pope
tema del avión derribado en el Báltico,
about
algo que en
the
otras circunstancias
plane
hubiera
that was
generado
taken
un
down in the
conflicto
Baltic, which would
internacional,
have created a
pero que
different
ahora, dada la
situation
capacidad de destrucción mutua,
and provided
como dijo Linus Pauling, ¿no?
the
Hemos llegado a
possibility
la
of
era de los
destruction. Linus
gigantes
Powell
atómicos y los enanos de la
stated
ética,
that now we
pero
have
además
giants with
no se
atomic
puede
weapons.
jugar a que voy a
However,
reaccionar
there's
de
no
tal manera
ethics.
porque el efecto
And
en
now
cadena
it's
sería
impossible
brutal.
to retaliate because the
Y
chain
eso tiene
effect
que
would be
ver
brutal.
con el
And
Báltico.
this is related, of course, to
Fíjense
the
ustedes
Baltic.
todo lo que involucra esto
Take a look at
en el
everything
ámbito geopolítico.
surrounding this area for
Pero,
the
como sea,
geopolitical sphere.
ese es un
So,
acontecimiento que está ahora en pleno
well,
desarrollo y
this is an
vamos,
development that
no el
is, of course, in
accidente,
full
sino el
development.
derribo,
Of
que no fue
course,
ningún
not
accidente,
taking down the
fue un
plane.
derribo
It
militar.
was called an accident, but it
Pero
wasn't an
la
accident,
cosa ha
of
llegado hasta
course.
el Vaticano.
But it has
Y
reached the
ahora
Vatican,
nos informan que puede haber
and maybe
una declaración
there
del
could
Santo
be a
Padre. Veamos
statement
los acontecimientos
by
en
the
pleno
Holy
desarrollo
Pope. So let's take a
y
look at our events in
comencemos
full
por
development,
otras
and let's
noticias
start
que
with
teníamos
other news that
preparadas
we
antes
have
de esta de última
here
hora.
for you.
Aquí estamos con los líderes mundiales principales
These
que
are
llegan
the
a la
main
Asamblea
global
General
leaders
de las Naciones
arriving
Unidas.
at the United Nations General
Secretario
Assembly.
General de las Naciones Unidas,
The
Antonio
Secretary
Guterres,
General Antonio Gutierrez,
varios líderes mundiales y
with many
delegados
other
llegan a
world
la
leaders
Asamblea.
and delegates arriving at the
Y
assembly.
Guterres dice,
And
la
Guterres
valiente
stated
iniciativa de la cumbre de
the brave
Singapur
initiative of the
entre los líderes de
Singapore
Estados
summit
Unidos y
between the
la
leaders of
República
the
Popular
States and
Democrática
the
de Corea,
Korean
junto con la reunión
Republic,
reciente
together
de los
with the
líderes
recent
coreanos en
meeting of
Pyongyang,
the Korean leaders in
ofrecen
Pyongyang,
esperanza para la posibilidad de
provide
una
hope
desnuclearización
for a
completa y
denuclearization,
verificable
a
de la
verifiable
península de
one,
Corea
of
en
the
el
Korean
contexto de la
Peninsula
seguridad
under the
regional.
context of the region.
Offers hope for the possibility of a full and verifiable denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula in a context of regional security.
Y luego
And then
Guterres dijo,
Guterres stated,
como nos recordó una vez nuestro
as it
secretario
was
general
once
Kofi
reminded by
Annan,
our Secretary General
compartimos,
Kofi Annan,
Once reminded us
compartimos un destino común.
we share
Podemos
a
dominarlo
common
solo
goal.
cuando lo enfrentemos
We can
juntos.
dominate
Y
it
eso, amigos
once we
míos,
face it
es el
together,
motivo
and this, my
por
friends,
el que tenemos
is
las
the
Naciones
reason due
Unidas.
to which the United
Nuestro
Nations
futuro
have been
descansa en la
created.
solidaridad.
Our future
Debemos reparar
rests in
los
hope.
fideicomisos rotos.
We need
Debemos
to
revitalizar nuestros proyectos
create new links,
multilaterales.
revitalize our
Debemos defender la
multilateral
dignidad
projects, and
para uno
defend
y
the
para
dignity
todos.
for one and for all.
Presidente de la Autoridad Nacional
The President of Palestine, Mahmoud Abbas, the ambassador of the country, President Erdogan, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, the ambassador of Russia, Vasil Femencia, the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa,
más atrás, luego
in the back,
primer ministro de Nueva
the
Zelanda,
Prime Minister of New
Jacinda
Zealand,
Ardern,
Jacinta Ardern.
están llegando todos los pesos pesados a esta muy
all the
importante
important countries
nueva
arriving
periodo
at this
de
new
sesión de la
period
Asamblea General de
of
las
the
Naciones
Assembly
Unidas.
of the United Nations
Jefe
General
de la
Assembly.
República Islámica de Afganistán, Abdullah
Abdullah from
presidente de
Afghanistan,
Nigeria,
President of
Muhammadu
Nigeria,
Buhari,
Muhammadu Buhari,
aparecerá también por allá Mauricio Macri,
also Mauricio Macri,
presidente de Croacia, Grabar Kitarovic.
Grabar Kitarovic from Croatia.
Ahí teníamos la representación ya en avanzada.
So we had some of the events and some of the people. Antonio Guterres
Advirtió a los líderes
warned the
este
leaders
martes 25 de septiembre que el mundo,
that the world
comillas, está sufriendo un grave
is
caso de
undergoing a
trastorno,
serious case
trastorno generado por déficit de confianza,
of
aunque
a
no
lack
culpó
of
a nadie.
confidence, even though he didn't blame anyone.
Mientras tanto,
In the meantime, in the United States, Donald Trump was preparing himself to promote protection of the sovereignty of the United States in the global meeting of the United Nations. And Guterres mentioned that 193 members of many countries, each one representing a different nation, members of the United Nations, stating that multilateralism is now under fire in the moment where it's mostly needed. As the Secretary General Kofi Annan once told us, we share a common destiny, and we can always only face this together. And this, my friends, is the reason why we have the United Nations. This is what he said. There's Evo Morales, my friend Evo Morales. He's my comrade, and he's charming, and he told me, he called me Comrade Walter, Compañero Walter in Spanish, and it was incredible to see that, and it's impossible to see a bigger message than his. We hope a lot of him when he speaks. We speak about a common destiny. We can do this together when we face these facts, and this is the reason why we have the United Nations, as stated by Guterres. Our future rests in solidarity, and we need to break possibilities. We need to revitalize our multilateral projects and defend the dignity for everyone. They continue arriving, all the presidents, while we try to reaffirm our values. Here, the Secretary General, Jeremy Hunt, for the picture, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Wang Yi, who said that the appropriate way of remembering Nelson Mandela is by promoting the spirit of peace, conciliation, equality, and he defended the former leader of South Africa. When speaking about the Summit for Peace, Wang called the international community to be united under multilateralism standards and to defend the central role of the United Nations in foreign affairs and provide a wider visibility for a world as shaken as ours. With this being said, China opposes to the intervention of Hong Kong. And this represents the meaning of those who will share the responsibilities with this very complicated agenda in the international organization. And Mandela is one of the founders of the relationship with South Africa, which created a great possibility of the meetings between these two countries. The spokesman of the Chancellery today, Chen Shuang, stated, "We show our satisfaction and opposition to the comments that have been given by certain countries and organizations about the decision made by the administrative region of Hong Kong of forbidding or prohibiting the operation of the National Party of Hong Kong. Any organization or behavior that promotes the independence of Hong Kong will not be allowed, nor will the participation of activities to divide the country. The decision to prohibit the operation of the National Party of Hong Kong is based on the laws and procedures required for this. It's an appropriate measure, a measure to safeguard the security and the state of law in Hong Kong. This is part of the affairs of the RAE of Hong Kong and the internal affairs of China, and will not accept any foreign intervention. We call the countries and organizations to respect this sovereignty." The official report of China of Trade with the States is shown with its basic details. What we mean, Director of the Office of Information of the Council of State of China, said,
El gobierno de Estados Unidos hizo una
The
serie de
government of the
acusaciones
state
infundadas contra China, distorsionando
accused
seriamente los
China
hechos
by changing
sobre
the
las relaciones
facts
comerciales entre
about
China y
commercial
Estados Unidos
relationship
mediante
between China
enfoques
and the
como
United
la
States
publicación de la
with
investigación
approaches
de la
such
sección
as published in
1301.
the investigation of
Mientras
Series
tanto, Estados
351,
Unidos siguió
and the United
escalando
States
sus
continues
medidas
scaling up their
arancelarias,
tariffs
saboteando
by
enormemente el comercio
sabotaging
entre China y Estados
the
Unidos.
trade between the two
Y las
countries.
relaciones se formaron después de
And
años de
the
esfuerzos
relationships were
conjuntos de las
created
dos
after
partes,
years of joint
al
effort
tiempo
from
que
both
imponían
parties,
desafíos formidables al
while
sistema de
creating
comercio
also
multilateral
certain
y al
challenges
principio
in
de libre comercio.
multilateral challenges and the
Una
principle of
causa
free trade.
justa
A fair
suele ganar
cost
un gran apoyo,
can earn
mientras
a
que
lot
una
of
causa
support,
injusta
while an unfair
encontrará
cost
siempre
will
escaso
always
apoyo.
find lack of support.
Ante la situación mundial complicada y cambiante, China
Before
siempre
the
mantendrá
changing global
su
situation,
ritmo en
China
el
will
mundo,
always continue its
seguirá
pace
la
around the world,
megatendencia,
will follow
se
its trend,
comprometerá con la
and will be
justicia y
committed
mantendrá el
with
camino
justice
correcto
and
y defenderá
continue the right
firmemente el
path,
sistema de
as well as
comercio
defend the system
multilateral
for
e
multilateral
impulsará
trade
la reforma de la
and foster
gobernanza
the
global.
reform of global governance.
China siempre será
China
un
will
defensor de estos
always
valores.
be a defendant of these
La
values.
economía de China
The
es muy
economy
capaz
of
de hacer
China
frente a la
is
tensión
capable
comercial
of
con Estados
facing the
Unidos en
tension
Beijing.
with the States in Beijing.
Conferencia de prensa sobre el libro
Press
blanco
conference
sobre
on
los
the White
derechos y
Book
la
of
posición de
Rights
China sobre China y Estados
and the
Unidos en el
position of
aspecto
China
comercial.
for trade
Y
with the United
Liang
States,
Weiliang,
and Liang
director
Weiliang,
adjunto de la Comisión Nacional de Desarrollo y
director
Reforma, dice:
of the Committee
la
for
economía
Reforms and
china
Development,
llegó a
said
2.7
the Chinese
billones de
economy
dólares
reached
estadounidenses en
2.7 billion
2017
American dollars
y
in
las exportaciones
2017,
totales a
and the total exports
2.26 billones de
$2.26
dólares.
billion.
Los 200.000 millones de dólares estadounidenses
Those
representan el
$200,000 million are 8.8% of our total exports.
Si se considera el comercio
If
de
we
procesamiento,
consider
el impacto sobre el
the
valor
trade of
agregado,
processing and
se
the
reducirá
impact
aún
on added
más.
value, it
Una
will reduce
característica
even
de la
more.
economía china
This
es
is
la
a
diversidad
characteristic of the
industrial,
Chinese economy,
con
diversity in
diferentes
the
secciones que se
industry, with
complementan
different
y
sections
se
complementing each
sustituyen
other,
entre sí.
and
Por
also
lo tanto, la
substituting one
economía
with the
china
other.
es muy
So the economy of
resistente
China
al
is
impacto que venga del
resistant to
exterior,
the
y lo
impacts
directo a
that come from abroad, directly addressing
Luego
Trump.
dijo: tenemos
Then
una
he
población
said,
de alrededor de
our population
1.400
is of
millones de
around
habitantes, que es
1.4
más grande
billion
que la
inhabitants, which is
población
bigger
total
than
de
the
los
total
países
population
desarrollados
of
todos
developed
juntos.
countries altogether.
El ingreso nacional anual per
The
cápita
national
fue
per
de
capita
casi
income was of
$9.000
almost
Y
$9,000.
también hay una tendencia
And there's
acelerada de
also
mejorar el
a
consumo.
trend towards
Y en este
improving
sentido,
consumption. So
el
for
mercado
this,
está lleno de una gran
the market
demanda.
is full
Al mismo
of
tiempo,
demand.
como país en
At the
desarrollo,
same time as a
el
developing
desarrollo
country,
todavía está desequilibrado entre las diferentes
development
regiones de
is
China.
imbalanced within the
También
different
tenemos
regions of
algunos
China.
vínculos débiles en el
We also
desarrollo.
have some weak
Esto
links in
también
our
indica
development,
una gran
and this means
un gran potencial de inversión.
that there's a great
Todos
potential
estos
for
factores han
investment.
creado
All these
condiciones
factors have
favorables
created favorable
para que la
conditions
economía china
so
haga
that the
frente a
economy
la
of China
fluctuación
can
de la
face the
demanda
fluctuation
extranjera
of foreign
sin
demand
vernos peligrosamente afectados.
without being at stake.
适应市场的能力、开拓市场的能力和科技推的能力，能够在应对
A pesar de las dificultades que enfrentan las empresas de
In spite
importación y
of the
exportación,
problems that the
han
companies
seguido
have
mejorando
with
su
import and
capacidad de
export, they have
adaptación y
continued improving
expansión
their
dentro del
capacity of
mercado,
adaptation and expansion
así
within the
como la
market,
innovación científica
just
y tecnológica,
like scientific and
al tiempo que
technology
afrontamos
innovation,
el desafío del declive de la
also
demanda externa.
working with the decline
Así
of
podemos
foreign
resistir la
demand.
prueba del mercado en
There
medio
we
de los
can
desafíos.
withstand the test of the market in the midst of all the challenges against us.
三是更加有效的
El gobierno chino se
The
esforzará
Chinese
más
government
para ampliar la
will
demanda
try to
interna,
widen
mejorar los enlaces
internal
débiles,
demand and
reducir las
improve
cargas
weak links, as well
corporativas.
as reduce the corporate
Wang
loads.
Shouwen, viceministro de
Wang Shouwen,
Comercio,
Vice Minister of
representante
Trade,
adjunto de Comercio Internacional de
representative
China,
of
dijo:
foreign trade of China, said,
国际市场开拓方面，
las empresas también deberían
companies
estar bien preparadas
should
para los
also be
riesgos que son
prepared for the
inevitables
risks
en la
that could take
exportación y la
place
expansión
with
del
the
mercado
export
internacional.
and expansion of the
empresas
international
necesitan
market.
mejorar su
Companies need to improve their
competitividad y
competitivity
explorar
and
mercados
explore
diversos.
new and diverse
¿Cuál es
markets.
la historia detrás de esto? Bueno,
So
la
what we
economía
have
china es
behind
capaz de
this,
hacer frente al
the
impacto
Chinese
provocado
economy
por
can
la
face the
fricción
impact
comercial con
related
Estados
to the frictions
China dice
with
que
the
es
United
difícil
States.
avanzar
China
en
states
las
that it's
negociaciones
difficult to
comerciales
progress
con
with
Estados
commercial
Unidos,
discussions with the United
sobre
States,
todo con
mainly
el cuchillo en el cuello.
when
El
things are so
representante de Comercio
difficult as today.
Internacional chino,
The representative
Fu
of
Xiyin,
International Trade of China, Fu
viceministro de
Xin,
Comercio
the
chino,
Vice Minister of
Wang
Trade,
Shouwen,
Wang Shouwen,
para esta conferencia de prensa,
at this press
y Wang
conference,
Shouwen dice:
and Wang Shouwen added,
中方对磋商、对谈判
cuando las conversaciones entre China y
when
Estados
the
Unidos
talk
puedan
between China and the United States
reiniciarse,
could be resumed, it will completely depend on the will of the United States. This is the answer to this. We want to solve this through conversation, negotiations. We're still open. So, in order for them to be fruitful, we need, first of all, to have equality of treatment and mutual respect. And now the United States have taken radical measures of commercial restrictions. It's like threatening someone with a knife. So then how can we have negotiations under these circumstances? Negotiation should always be equal. So they take it easy, however, they do mean what they say. The Vice Minister of Trade of China, Shuang Gu, said, talks between China and the States of the higher level have been held 4 times, but we cannot say that these discussions have been useless. These discussions have led to a lot of consensus, and both parties set a joint agreement, but the States all of a sudden have changed their opinion and abandoned their understanding mutually with China and implemented commercial restrictions on our country. So it's impossible right now to continue with the negotiation. I would like to emphasize that as long as there's sincerity and that we can treat each other fairly in our conversation while also complying with our promises, there will be a way out through negotiation. Thank you very much. Then, the Vice Minister of Trade, Wang Shu, answered another question by saying what he thought of these new measures. These measures are not only harmful for the commercial development of China, but also the ones of the States, but also the interest of the workers, the farmers, and the different consumers around the world and in the United States. Other members of the WTO are also concerned about these events. We don't know the reason why the United States have changed their opinion after reaching an agreement with China for trade. So, a member of the government of China said that it's difficult to keep on negotiating with the States as long as they continue threatening them. So, when conversations resume, will be dependent on how the United States decide to deal with this. China protests the sale of weapons for $330 million to the States, to Taiwan. So, the other side of China, the one that opposes China, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of China, by their spokesperson, Geng Shuang, stated, selling weapons to Taiwan violate international law, as well as the basic regulations for foreign affairs. A grave violation of principles of the 3 joint statements of China and the United States that harm the sovereignty of China and our interest for security. China shows a lack of satisfaction as well as an opposition to the procurement of weapons of Taiwan to the States, and have already shown certain representations within the state of this fact. Then Geng Shuang added, he is of course not improvising but reading. China urges the States to faithfully comply the promise made in the 3 joint statements between both countries by immediately withdrawing the plan of selling weapons previously mentioned and stop contacts with Taiwan. This will avoid any type of harm for the relationship between both countries. The headquarters of the Chinese Chancellery, its logo, its flag, and the spokesman, Ali Shuang, stated, there are many press conferences today. They're all very interesting and important. We satisfactorily take this and show our satisfaction. Undoubtedly, there's a great capacity of self-defense and support for the Taiwanese people in order for them to have more confidence when facing deep challenges of security. They would also give our country a great capacity to ensure peace and stability in all Taiwan, in all the Strait of Taiwan and the region. We'll also continue increasing the investment for national defense, including strengthening industries for national defense and development of technologies for national defense. We will continue with a close communication and cooperation with the States for all the matters, including national security. So we continue, but of course, they clearly show their position. The Department of State that approved the spare parts sold for F-16 planes, and this was the reaction. Canada keeps a close cooperation with China for free trade, press conference for the negotiation of the free trade agreement of North America, NAFTA, Chrystia Freeland, and then Marian G., the Minister of Small Companies, said free trade is really important for Canada, and unlike the current situation, we have imposed tariffs on aluminum and steel, and we'll always defend our workers and defend the Canadians as well as the companies in our country. Canada is a trading country. We believe in free trade, and we believe in a system based on rules that need to be respected. We have gotten the benefit based on the system with these rules. We have been able to create employment through free trade, and it's very important for us to continue creating access, a higher access to markets for our companies in Canada.
Businesses, but it also provides access, to women entrepreneurs and women-led businesses as well. So having our societies considered and be a part of those trade agreements is a very important thing for the prosperity of Canadian businesses, but all businesses.
Luego actuaron personas como
Then Ildefonso Guajardo Villarreal, the Secretary of Economy of Mexico, Cristina Freeland, the representative of trade of the United States at the stage, and Marian G., the Minister of Canada for Small-Sized Companies, stated, for people to participate in commercial agreements is really important. The trade agreements we have negotiated recently have certain chapters that actually provide access to the market for our small and medium-sized companies, but also provide access for entrepreneur women, likewise for companies. So, considering and respecting our society as part of this trade agreement, something that is very important for the prosperity of Canadian companies, but also for all other companies. Well, traditional hockey games. We've signed an agreement about climate change. And we've also signed an agreement about exports and imports for agriculture in 2018. The result of the travels of the Prime Minister in 2016. This is the year of tourism between Canada and China, so there are many things that we are working with as a country. We'll continue working, and we'll continue with the exploration and collaboration. China intensifies protection for intellectual property. Beijing, an important press conference as always, and Heng Hua, the Commissioner for Intellectual Property of China, said, the accusation against the lack of protection for the rights of China is completely biased. It doesn't contemplate the progress of China for the creation of the protection system and the continuous progress of innovation power of China. And the fact that China has become an important country in order to improve the protection of intellectual property rights, which is obvious for everyone. China grants the same protection to national and foreign DPIs, as well as the protection of intellectual property on behalf of China, which is widely regarded throughout the whole world. He Hua, Commissioner of the State Area of Intellectual Property of China, said we are working with the amendments for the patent law as for intellectual rights, and we will create a compensation that's punitive in the law. The second one, stronger protection, and also strengthening legal and administrative protection, while also providing more protection through channels as arbitration and mediation. And the third one is fast protection. We have established 19 protection centers, DPIs, throughout the whole country to improve the efficiency of protection of rights. The fourth protection is the same. All companies will enjoy the same type of protection, as well as their nationalities, well, regardless of their nationalities and sizes. So China gives a great importance to defending intellectual property rights and will intensify them even more with the measures for this. The Argentinian peso falls while the manager of the central bank resigns after 3 months. Central Bank of Argentina, Luis Caputo, and Nicolás Dujovne, Minister of Economy. At the press conference, on the left, Nicolás, and on the right, Caputo. So this is a graph about the market decline, the signs of the dollar in the exchange rate. So the negotiation we have ahead of us.
La sorpresiva renuncia de Luis Caputo después de solo 3 meses en el cargo se
The resignation happened after the union demonstration protested against the management economy of Macri that closed transit and ports throughout the whole country. The former secretary, Guido Sanderes, with a PhD in economy of the University of Columbia, was appointed the replacement of Caputo, according to the statement of the presidency. Argentina has been the core of nervousness of emerging market during the last months. Its currency has lost over 50% of its rate throughout the year, in the midst of the concerns of a recession that could affect the capacity of the government in order to pay its foreign or external debt. Caputo, who was appointed 3 months ago, was meant to reestablish the trust of investors, is the second president of the Central Bank of Argentina resigning this year. An increase in the interest rate of reference of the central bank to 60% hasn't been able to contain the drop of the Argentinian peso. The peso fell 6.7% more during today's early hours. Well, so times aren't the best for the economy and finance in Argentina. However, the schools that they have been affiliated to, those neoliberal leaders, are the ones creating some order and setting as the main importance the stock market and the well-being of citizens. So, well, things that we see every day. Well, it seems that the Pope will be preparing at some point a statement of the plane taken down on the Baltic. We still don't have a confirmation of this. Break, and we'll be back with more events and full development. Stay with.
Me gustaría tener un mundo mucho más inclusivo para todos.
没有贫穷.
Στην ανθρωπότητα θα ήθελα να δω παραπάνω αγάπη, αγνότητα, πολιτισμό και επαφή με τη φύση.
Que el ser humano despierte su conciencia.
I want humanity to see itself as one humanity.
We are the people, a space, a voice. We are Dossier without borders.
Well, here we have some information. On September 18, the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, stated that he couldn't attend the Assembly of the United Nations in New York due to security concerns. So here we have President Nicolás Maduro Moros, and he's assessing, you know, that he is now a target. Well, let's take a look at his statement. I am assessing this because you know that I am targeted. They're trying to kill me. I am assessing the security conditions to go to New York. I want to go to New York. But I need to take care after myself. People of the media. Press conference. And the president sent Jorge Arriaza, the chancellor, to the assembly, who said today, the wife of President Nicolás Maduro, the first lady of Venezuela. What meaning could this have? How far could the United States go? What's the limit of how ridiculous can someone be in the United States with their obsession with Venezuela? So you imagine a country would come to the United Nations and announce unilateral measures against the wife, the first lady of the United States. Imagine something like this happening. It's almost funny. I think that we need to reflect about this. Secondly, President Trump today, I don't know if all the journalists are aware of what the Monroe Doctrine is. From 1823, President James Monroe and his Secretary of State, Quincy Adams, who, in order to avoid Europe, the Holy Alliance, and other powers to have access to what they call this hemisphere that goes from Alaska to Patagonia, then the United States, as a doctrine in the Speech of Union of 1823, almost 200 years ago, kept for themselves all the land of this continent. This, of course, is an old doctrine. It's nonsense. And then President Trump tries to bring it back today as the basis of his policy in Latin America. This is an attack against Venezuela, but also against the rest of the 34 other states of Latin America and the Caribbean. It's an attack from any perspective. What do they want? To reach a moment where they wouldn't allow Venezuela, Brazil, or Mexico, or Dominica to keep relationships with China, or with the Russian Federation, or the European Union, because this land is reserved for the United States, not for their people, but for the elite that governs the country. This is something that you must examine, dear journalists, from every single perspective. The lack of coherence in history, and President Trump was about to break the Charter of the United Nations at the United Nations. It's grotesque. It's away from any parameter of civilization. This is why we need to show our claims. Take a look at another contradiction. Trump speaks about building walls, of expelling illegal migrants because they're harmful for the society, he says, but at the same time he said that he will send help, and today it was approved in a meeting where Venezuela was excluded to help Venezuelan migrants in different countries. So isn't this a clear contradiction? It's not a lack of balance in a policy, or maybe in the mind of whoever plans this. This is something that we should really need to question from any perspective. We need to acknowledge that Trump's speech was very electoral for his voters, because elections are about to come, and he is looking for votes, radical votes, of the extremists of Florida. So Venezuela and Cuba wind up with the domestic affairs, the electoral affairs of the United States. Attacking Venezuela and Cuba is getting votes in order to win the state of Florida, the Congress, the elections of November, and also to work for the re-election for the next years. It's sad to see countries being attacked due to electoral reasons and to see some people around the world saluting or applauding these events. We need to say that this is just another chapter today of a historic fight in our America. When we speak about our America, we speak about America from Mexico to Argentina, going through the Caribbean, Central, South America. Among the things that I said about the Monroe Doctrine, this is nothing new. Simón Bolívar, in 1818, 2 years have gone by, said that there's a danger of the nation that was being created in the north. And well, there are differences with the agents of the states in Venezuela who seem to try and help the forces around independence just like they did, the independence they were able to achieve through the effort, through battles, through fights, through struggles. However, they were helping the Spanish troops with weapons on the Orinoco River, hunting cities, and Simón Bolívar said this. And then he said the same thing in 1829. The United States seemed to be destined to plague all America of misery on behalf of liberty. So the liberator Simón Bolívar, who was president of the Bolivarian Colombia, already answered the Monroe Doctrine. This is what he had been through in our America throughout so many decades, throughout 2 centuries. And when we thought that this was over, because if I'm not mistaken, former Secretary John Kerry said that this was over, that the Monroe Doctrine was out of time. But now Mike Pompeo and Mike Pence and President Trump continue with it. And then, unfortunately, after saying that this Monroe Doctrine is meaning he meets a Latin American president that almost kneels to him, instead of claiming and saying, what's this that you're doing, threatening our country with the Monroe Doctrine? It's sad. It's really sad. But it's the story of the struggle that we have been through for so many years, with different expressions, different demonstrations. This is nothing new. But we thought that for the 21st century, states would adapt to the new circumstances, would respect the sovereignty of countries, and would be able to cooperate in a different way. Take a look at their ideology of the speech of the discourse against Venezuela: socialism, communism. It was like Richard Nixon, those past times of the Cold War. Come on, you need to be up to date, open your eyes. The world is different. Sovereign countries have the right of creating their own ways, and this is not the problem of states to decide which road should they take. Their duty is to collaborate, to cooperate. We could say for ourselves that capitalism is the worst plague that's ever been in our world, and that the world dictatorship is the dictatorship of capital and also expression its faces, like President Trump, and that imperialism, it's now in vigor. However, we respect our neighbors or the other countries of the world that acknowledge capitalism as their system and who want to believe that it will help their peoples. It's a matter of national sovereignty. But under the excuse of socialism, they're creating conditions to attack Venezuela permanently. With different ways, as I said. And I told the journalist, I don't know if she's here, I said, think about the worst thing that you can imagine, your worst case scenario. They will accuse us of this. Think for 3 seconds. Think about the worst thing in the world. And you will hear Mike Pence, Mike Pompeo, Nikki Haley, and others, and Trump accusing Venezuela and Maduro of this. It's a strategy. It's been planned against Venezuela. Take a look. Well, this confirms that the Monroe doctrine against the Bolivarians. This comes from unilateralism trying to destroy multilateralism, and I will use a phrase. It's a phrase employed often in the States. We are on the right side of history. Independence of the countries that believe in Bolivarianism, in popular sovereignty, it's unstoppable, and you need to learn this. The United States need to understand there's no way. It's not about Nicolás Maduro, our president. It's not a person, not an individual. It's a historical process. It has been in force for over 200 years, and you could set obstacles, you could attack it, you could make whatever decision you decide. However, it's unstoppable. When an independence is true, radical, popular, when it comes from the generosity and the decision of peoples to be free. So this is something that they need to understand. They can do whatever they want against Venezuela today. I hope that they don't do this against other countries and that they would stop, they would cease this. However, they will not stop the processes of independence when they are real, structurally real, radically real. I wanted to also remember, this is real-time information because the attacks that President Maduro has been through today, well, are just like 3 years of aggression or attacks against the countries that is an enemy with the states. Take a look at the last thing they say, that President Trump said that it would be extremely easy for the soldiers in Venezuela to have a military coup. Maybe you were going to ask about this, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but either way, this confirms what the New York Times published and the Washington Post, that interventionism of the United States is so crude that they even agree with military coups, with blood being shed, with death, with homicides in Venezuela. Of course, it's not their children, it's not their family, those who will die in an armed conflict in Venezuela. It's easy then. It's easy to promote violence, promote a change in regime, promote murders of the leaders of a country. And then they say that in the meeting for migration, well, we wanted to demand our right to speak because they were speaking about Venezuelan migration. I thought that we had the right to speak, right? Well, it's logic. I don't know how the United Nations will allow this to happen. They speak about a country, however, the country cannot be present. And then the head of the countries, Mr. Pence, was there, and the security of Mr. Pence didn't allow us to access this meeting. He gave this order. And countries as the ones that he summoned respect this order. So they said that we were at the ACLAC European Union Summit of Chancellors. It was maybe 3 or 4 months ago. We were there at the plenary meeting, and the Chancellor of Colombia denounced that there was a movement of Venezuelan troops to the border, that Venezuela wanted to attack Colombia, that we were looking to create a war. And this was not stated by the Chancellor of Colombia, but by the Vice President of the States, that they're moving troops, that they would help Colombia. So what are they trying to get? What did Luis Almagro wanted to say? Colombian territory, the border with Venezuela, and from there he requested an intervention. So you see how clear the strategy is. You can see how it's unveiled openly. And you can see what could be the cost in human lives. It would be a tragedy for Venezuela. It would be a tragedy for the region. If you want to see a migration crisis, then it would be a tragedy to see an intervention in Venezuela. But our armed forces, our national armed forces, that our people, that our soldiers will know how to endure, how to defend themselves. And the example of Vietnam maybe would be small with the example of Venezuela when we have decided what to do for over 200 years of being free. Between Colombia and Venezuela, we should always consider dialogue as the sacred way. It's the only way. Nothing can stop it. Whatever happens, we don't agree with what's happening in Colombia or with their leaders, with their oligarchy. We don't agree with having at least 7 new military bases in the States and Colombia, plus all the other ones that already have, and increasing the number of hectares of cultivation. And the drug production has increased in 31% between the last 2 years, according to reports of the Nations, reaches the ports of the States freely and gets to the blood cells and the brain cells of the United States. So who's stopping this getting out of Colombia and Indian States? So what's this drug state here? Who are the authorities that are linked with the production of drugs and the distribution of them? It is not a psychological campaign, it's a reality that's there, the one that is shown. Our answer is to continue fighting, continue building our own democracy, stabilizing our economy, look for a mechanism to bypass the measures of the blockade of the States against us and create prosperity and growth in Venezuela. The official answer of Venezuela is that we will continue and we will denounce these sanctions, as I've done here, under the framework of international public law. Doing so in the United Nations. Do so from the Pentagon, from the White House, from the Department of State, publish it into your web pages of your institutions. Come on, but don't do it from the United Nations. This means insulting the United Nations. This is not a question, this is a statement. They're insulting the United Nations. However, this is what they do. I wasn't there this morning, and I asked them to coordinate with Colombia, because Colombia was the one who created this meeting. Coordinate with Colombia, coordinate with the organizer of Colombia, because they will attend the meeting, I told my people. And the Vice Minister for Latin America went there, and there were some people speaking English with some wires for security, and they said that it was not possible. And we are not here trying to create a scandal. We're here to tell the truth. Hopefully the United Nations will not encourage things like this. If in Colombia, if we won, well, if in the event that Maduro held today with the migrants of Colombia, creating a plan of attention for them and telling them that we are going to request resources from the nations to finance the return of Venezuelans, because there are thousands and thousands of Venezuelans collapsing the embassies of South America wanting to come back to their country because they have been kidnapped there. They were tricked into getting there. They had a dream that wasn't fulfilled, and now they don't have enough money to buy a ticket back. Not even a bus ticket, and then resources for the population of Colombians, of Ecuadorians, Peruvians who live in Venezuela, and that we can go beyond the international system helps us, and it's a situation of migration. But if the person in charge of business of Colombia wanted to attend the meeting with President Maduro, of course the doors would have been closed, because this is a dictatorship. The first experiment, which was successful, of socialism and democracy in Venezuela, in Latin America. In Latin America, actually, was President Salvador Allende, Popular Union, 1970, 1973. And what he did, well, Richard Nixon was the person. They created a plan to destabilize the country, destabilize the country politically, until they were able to create the conditions for a coup, financed by the state, financed by the CIA. I don't say this. It's according to the documents, the files of the state and others, and they reached their objective, overthrowing Salvador Allende, the president. They had to kill him in order to achieve their objective. And the rest, the other movements in Latin America, of the left wing, have always been developed by going under the tough flag of what happened to Salvador Allende back then. Luckily, in Venezuela, fortunately, in Venezuela, in Nicaragua, in Bolivia, and in some countries of the Caribbean, and Cuba that had the previous experience, of course, which had a different way. It was armed. There was courage to continue regardless of this background. But either way, they tried to use the same recipe against us, of course improved, not the same technology, the one of the CIA in 1973 than the one that they have in 2002, 2008, 2008, and so on and so forth. And of course, also during the last years, it's way more sophisticated, with more means, with more power, with more resources, and shameless. However, they have been unable. The states are behind the stabilization of Venezuela. The answer is yes. Since when? Since the first day, even before Commander Chavez won the elections in 1998. We have overcome all the tests, all the obstacles of the attacks of the United States. Yes, and we will overcome this in the future. The answer is yes, we will do this. They applied Allende's formula many times, but they will not be able to take us, as it has been shown and proven around this history. Also, this was stated by the journalist, the use of legal powers to stop progressive powers in Latin America. There's the case, as President said, President Lula, elections in Brazil on October 7th, and there's a competition between different candidates trying to see who will be the winner. If President Lula would have been the candidate, he would surely win right away, because that's the will of the people. This is what surveys show. However, he hasn't been able to run for president. We shouldn't believe that this is rare, because the government in Brazil is due to a coup against Lula. They're also trying to annul the possibilities of former President Cristina Kirchner of winning the elections of next year. Same thing happening in Ecuador, in the brutal prosecution against former President Rafael Correa. Open and shameless. Is it a coincidence that in Brazil and Ecuador, Argentina, the powers, all of a sudden, the branches decide to fight against the left-wing presidents? Well, think it for yourself. It is a coincidence. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Everything would show that this couldn't be a coincidence, but you should be the ones witnessing this reality. President Maduro has stated that they are hired against this government, someone that you pay to comply with their objective, and mission accomplished. So, you are the ones in charge of destroying the government of Correa, the government of Lula in Brazil, and then Kirchnerismo in Argentina, for them to never come back. Guarantee the control of the Monroe Doctrine in all this continent. However, this is not the case, and they will not be able to stop this government. This is the summary of a summary of a summary of the attacks of the United States, with the spokesman, with President Trump, Pence, all of them, they're out there. And then there's someone who wants to be part of the South Command that said that there's no plan for interventions against Venezuela. But every time someone asks him from the Department of State of Defense, it is stated that this will not be discarded, the military intervention. So I know that he will not even be part of the South Command due to mistake he made. But the defense of this instrument in the charter of the United Nations, Venezuela has been present, and they will continue being there. In any multilateral forum, Venezuela will be there, raising their voice and raising the voices of the people, of the free people of the world. Well, if this wasn't clear enough, then I don't know what could be. That this is the world of the midgets of ethics and the giants of nuclear war. As a thinker once said, this is very gratifying to see, because this is fresh air coming in. Very well with oxygen, and we're able to see what people say. So whatever you may be on that side of the monitor, thank you for allowing us to be there with you. Here I close Dossier from Studio 3 of Venezolana Televisión. This was Walter Dossier,
Disponga usted de las cámaras, señor director.
host and director. Director, the floor is all yours.